All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Green White Checker TV, where tonight we have race number 2 of the Area 51 Sunday Gen 4 Super Speedway Series here tonight at Daytona International Speedway. And this is going to be race 2 of the playoffs of those 4 races. So there's a lot of drama at the end of iRacing Super Speedway last week, but we are back here tonight at one of our familiar tracks. And right now, after, of course, that first race, it's obviously not going to be a huge difference because it's going to be, again, pretty much where everybody finished, with Ray Rittenauer with a 5-point lead over Ryan Decker. And then Eric Laurie, Joshua Heibaugh, and Nick Wing are top 5 in points, Nick being just 10 out of the top spot. And then Dean Wilkinson, Seth, and Patrick Groover there, 7th, 8th. And then Gabe Butler rounding out our top 10. So right now, drivers putting down their qualifying laps for tonight's event. Again, scheduled distance 75 laps. There are 2 green-white checkers, 1 fast repair available should they need it. And then we'll get things underway. And again, we've got here tonight. Next week, we will be at Atlanta Motor Speedway with the finale in 2 weeks' time at Talladega Super Speedway, which conveniently was where the actual Cup Series was this weekend. And then, of course, same thing over on the Thursday night's series as well. They'll be jumping over to Atlanta on Thursday. However, on Tuesday night, we have the finale of the IndyCar Series at Auto Club Speedway. Championship has been clinched already by a Mark Murphy. So now all these guys just going to be going out for that final race for bragging rights. So, Brandon, we're back here at Daytona. 75 laps. Hearing the fuel window is going to be right around the 23-ish lap range. So it opens up that potential. Does somebody try to really drop anchor, save a ton of fuel, and maybe try to turn this thing into a 2-stop race? And you know some of these drivers love to try to pull some strategies, so let's see if that comes into play. But whenever I hear fuel mileage, my brain immediately goes to Nick Wing, so I think if it comes into play, he's going to be the first to watch.
Yeah, Nick is really, really great at the fuel saving, and this is a type of track where Nick Wing, his strategy really comes into fruition, with hanging out in the back and saving fuel, because Daytona, there's not a lot of room to move as other super speedways we go to. So this might reel right into Nick Wing's wheelhouse, but my eyes on the 48. Second last week, second Thursday. I think he comes in with some momentum and maybe picks up the W.
Yeah, no, he's definitely been on it. And I was giving him a hard time about maybe adding some side dishes to that paint scheme, but he sounded pretty confident where he just like, you know what? No, I don't need that. I'm just going to keep doing what I've been doing. And he mentioned, it sounds like consistency is where he's thinking right now. He says that's going to be the way to get this. Of course, you want to win races, but like he said, if you can just knock off some runner-up finishes, that's going to jump you up. However, I do have to counter that a little bit because it is 5 extra points with the win over second place. So a 5-point swing could mean a lot in this one, especially when there's no bonus points. So I don't know. I think there could be some strategy in that one too, where you want to get everything you can. So we'll see. I'll say strategy is always a part of it here tonight. Of course, finding those teammates. I'm spying on the Discord. I see 3 right now over on the Bootknocker side. I do, of course, know right now I don't see Kevin Hash, Ray Rittenauer. But again, we know those two will be working together, and they know the Bootknocker guys very well. So I could definitely see them working together. We got 5 over at Roswell, 3 over at TW, and then 5 over at the Silver Fox Racing Group as well. And for those that maybe aren't aware, that's Anthony Lane, Dale Rapp, Gary Huffines, Joshua Heibaugh, and Robert Amaral. So definitely some groups, and then always got the Groover brothers that say they'll go wherever. They say if they can work with somebody, they'll work with everybody. So we got a lot of teams and a lot of people that'll be able to work with one another here tonight.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think this is the track where if you're a team like Roswell that, are really, really good at executing pit stops, or Dean Wilkinson with TW, this is where you really, I think, will want to get that win is right now. Because as we head on to Atlanta next week, we know it's a crapshoot, and Talladega is even more of a crapshoot. And so with the big field, I think tonight's where you really want to, pounce and maybe pick up that win. Instead of trying to rely on Atlanta, where we know how chaotic that can be.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you there because, to me, again, iRacing in Atlanta, those are the tracks that are the very good chance of just it maybe not going exactly how you plan it to. So with that, though, it looks like qualifying has just completed. So we're going to pull up that starting grid for tonight's event. And you see there on the top of your screen, it's going to be Gabe Butler on the pole position there with a 47.537. Next to him, Everett Lane again working together with those two. And then you got two TW guys, row 2, Dean Wilkinson, Charles Johnson. Jack Walls there in 5th. Next to him, Kevin Hash. Then Tom Dixon, another great qualifying for him there in 7th. Ray Rittenauer. So you got those two locked on next to each other in 6th and 8th. And then Eric Laurie, Bud Steele, again, a couple of guys there. You got one over on the Boot Knockers, one over on Roswell. Ryan Decker's right there. Patrick Groover in 12th. And then continuing down the order there, you've also got, then you get to some of those guys I just talked about, Dale Rapp, Gary Huffine, Anthony Lane, Joshua Highbaugh. They're all right there together. Nick Wing, and then Robert Amaral, the other one of those teammates. And then you got Frank Ranger Jr., and then Jim Brooks, Seth Groover opting not to put down a qualifying lap. But it looks like we will have 21 cars here tonight at Daytona. So definitely one of those ones, again, we talked about, cannot make mistakes in this race.
Yeah, you definitely can't. And I like the move by Seth and Jim. I'm not even going to put down a lap, just going to hang out at the back. We already know, we've talked about, with fuel, what type of race it's going to be. I like that. Not even maybe being up in a bad push or anything like that is it gets really tight here at Daytona as you start to enter the corners and things like that. So good move there by the 32.
As here comes the field starting to roll on out. Again, I got the initial focus on that 88 cars. He's going to leave pit road. And then we will get things underway here in just one lap's time. So yeah, so it's going to be fun to see strategy-wise who's going to be able to make what happen here tonight. And yeah, let's say it's just figuring out when to make those moves and see what you're able to do here. So again, 21 cars tonight. All cars are on track. So it's going to be fun to see what everybody's got in store for us. But like I said, teammates on the front row, teammates on the second row. Jack Wall's already saving fuel on the apron. So like I said, some of these drivers kind of showing what they've got in store here. Ryan Decker looks like he's maybe trying to do a little extra fuel saving. I don't know. He's going up to Jack Walls here. So I'm very curious as to what's going on with a couple of these guys. Got a few more there. I just saw Dale Rapp. He's rolling the apron too. So I don't know. I'm not sure if strategy or just drivers checking in on things with one another or just maybe giving each other a hard time. You could never tell with these guys here.
Yeah, just probably just getting ready and I wouldn't be surprised though. Also rolling around the bottom, saving as much as you can. These guys, if they can save a little bit over another driver, and they will. So it's going to be very interesting to see how teammates on the front row there with the 88 and the 24, how they approach this restart. Does one let the other one go and try to slide in, or if they just wait to the backstretch and let it play out?
Yeah, and it might be one of those ones. Let's just see how it naturally works out here. So we'll keep an eye on that. And saying I just saw your message there, so we're gonna try to fix that one more time for you. So I apologize for that. I say because it'd be nice for you to be able to see what's going on my end too. But Brandon, we're about to get underway here tonight. It's gonna be Gabe and Everett there on that front row, and then we will get this thing going here. So again, hope you all are having a wonderful evening as we are getting back to green here tonight. Start the race tonight, 75 laps at Daytona. Gabe Butler and Everett Layden leading the field.
Yeah, good start there by the 88 of Gabe Butler. Picked up the win on Thursday in the trucks here at Daytona. He's got some good momentum in that 88. He nails these qualifying so much. We see him starting on the pole quite often, and it was an interesting strategy. I talked about the 24 not getting up to speed as much and not being able to stay up there with his teammate as that outside line is now finally starting to get going.
Yeah, and short distance always prevails on the initial start, especially at a track like iRacing Super Speedway, even more so. But then, like you said, as you come down the back, the momentum really starts to shift back on the outside lane as they come through 3 and 4 for the first time. And so right now, let's say got about the first 5 or 6 rows or so running single or double file, and then everybody else right now just kind of singling out, finding where they feel the most comfortable, just kind of playing it easy here. So we'll see what they're able to do, but right now it still stays pretty even with that 88 and the 20th in that front row. And like I said, we'll see who's going to make the pushes for fuel, who's just going to ride and try to see if maybe they can stretch at least one lap and again maybe get to that magic lap 25 marker.
Yeah, and we look as we see these guys just now coming off turn 2 back there, the 51, the 32. They look like they're in no hurry to go anywhere. They're riding around back there in the back, just saving fuel. They're not even really attached to this front group. They got a couple cars, as we see right here. They're really broken up back there. That tells me them guys back there are definitely fuel saving.
But there's also the risk, though. You don't want to drop too far back while fuel saving, because then you're going to have to really kind of spend all the extra fuel to get up there as well. So, like, I look at like the guys like Seth Groover here and Robert Amaral. It's a little further back than I feel comfortable with. Even Jim Brooks. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Jim Brooks is right on the back of the 17. It's the gap is between Seth and Jim, and then Robert and Seth. But yeah, right here, if you start to fall back too far, especially in Robert's position, because right now, again, you don't have anybody behind you to push. So right now, at this point now, Robert's probably going to have to put that foot to the floor to get back up to that pack in front of him. And again, that's just going to start to burn that extra fuel. So really, to me, the magic spot is going to be somewhere maybe 5th, 6th row or so on the inside line. So really like where Dale Rapp is right now. He's got Gary Huffines right there, Anthony Lanes right there. So he's got teammates, he's got the inside line, and they can just really pedal it on, I feel like, on the easy side here.
Yeah, most definitely, and they're really what's a good spot about being in their spot is if anything happens, they're right there on the apron and they can just drop right down and slow down and avoid a lot of it. So one good thing I do love about that inside line is not being caught on the outside and not having anywhere to go. So I'm with you there, Gaio.
I say peeking over and say, do have to say thank you to Dean to say wishing everybody a good luck and thank you for the broadcast. And Dean, I say we got to thank you for making these races so much fun to put on here. And Caitlin's taking a quiz and watching the race at the same time. So, Caitlin, try not to put any racing answers into your quiz. I don't think that's going to help your cause. So, but yeah, hopefully the quiz goes well. And right now you saw right there, Charles Johnson maybe just thought for a moment about trying to sneak around Everett Lane, but definitely a bit of a checkup on that top side. Look how many rows now they've dropped compared to that inside lane.
Yeah, definitely dropping. Some guys trying to get organized. I've seen a couple guys bounce to the inside. And speaking of Dean Wilkinson, Dean pit stop Wilkinson, okay? We got 23 laps, maybe a fuel. That means we're going to get 3 pit stops. Hopefully they're under green. Dean's gave us a show every time he's came in there. And hopefully he can keep the streak alive and keep it under 55.
So yeah, he's got the perfect car number for this as well. You're exactly right. But yeah, so no, we'll keep an eye on him. Like I said, if we get green flag pit stops, that 55 is always one to watch. I'm also watching a little bit on just towards the back there. You got Kevin Hash, Ray Rittenauer. They've found each other here. Not saying they're locked on that outside line, but definitely starting to see the formation starting to happen. Seth and Patrick Gruber, they found each other. I think they're ready to get going here as well. So I think some of them maybe feel like the pace isn't what it could be. And so I think we're starting to see a few guys try to make some adjustments and say, okay, we're gonna do a little bit in this race to kind of change what you guys are all doing. We think we can beef up the speed of this one.
Yeah, and it's crazy how much iRacing reflects real racing. We seen it today at Talladega. Yeah, this isn't the same track, but it's the same type of strategy. The guys in the beginning of the race, they really wanted to slow down the stop and maybe not have to pit in that first stage, and a couple guys got together and ramped it up, and they made everybody say, all right, it's time to go and we got to get going.
Yep, and speaking of which, you saw there the 9 able to get the 24 to the front, so that puts Everett Lane in front of his teammate there. And so now, like I said, Charles Johnson and Dean Wilkinson, they haven't got together yet, but we'll see if they can make something happen at some point in this event. And then also, of course, you see, we talked about Kevin Hash, Ray Rittenauer. They're both right there together. And then kind of just quietly sitting right now in that inside row, Jack Walls, Tom Dixon. As you see right there, Seth kind of dropping down to the inside a little bit. You saw a couple guys react to it. But yeah, I really like where Jack and where Tom are here. Again, they're in that spot where they don't have to push the guy in front of them. Like you said, too, they have room down if they need to. They can go to the apron if something is to happen in front. And you can see Tom also just leaving plenty of room here. He's got about that car length, half a car length, just able to, again, just probably pedaling that thing. Just I was saying, it sounds crazy, but maybe 3/4 throttle. That's just how much the draft plays a role in these cars. So he's in a really good spot right now. And really the only one that's been making a big move early is Seth, who's up 11 spots because he started pretty much, I want to say, may have started 21st position. So right now Seth the only one that's really kind of charged forward, and I think that was to find brother Patrick there in that 54 in front of him.
Yeah, and I think I think a lot of it had to say what you brought up earlier, Guy. Was a lot of them guys were really starting to lose the pack, and I don't think they liked, especially the 32 was back there by himself. I think you were completely right. You don't want to lose the pack, especially here where we could see a lot of green flag pit stops. So I think also, as we see a big move there by the 9 to get down and take the lead, just make sure he stays with the pack and stays with the teammate when it comes to pit stops.
Yeah, I know, exactly right. So this is now the opening that Kevin and Ray are looking for, because now they're like, hey, we got nobody in front of us. Let's go here. So I would say let's hop on board here with Ray. We'll watch to see. I'm expecting to see that 87 get right onto the rear bumper of the 03. Try to shove him on forward here, see if he can get him to the point of this race. And I say we saw right behind him. You can't quite see it in the mirror there, but from where Ray's point of view is he's going to see that 54 Patrick Gruber right there as well. But and you can see right there just all the little adjustments you're having to make this whole time there. You saw the 03, he's wiggling around a little bit. Ray has to try to react to that, make sure he doesn't give him a bump off centered. Same thing, trying to time that entry into 3 so you go right with your teammate as well. There's it from the outside TV view, it looks fairly straightforward, but from here behind the wheel, you can see, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of adjustments, a lot of correction having to happen each and every turn, and multiple times even through the straightaways right there. You see, again, a lot of jockeying around there.
Yeah, these cars especially are really a handful. They can really start to bounce around and get loose, and the air really can start to affect these. And when you got to be really precise with your pushes, because if you push too hard and get too much of a run on the guy in front of you, you can really lift up the back end, and that's when chaos begins.
Yep, and here comes Gabe. He saw the momentum. He said, all right, here we go. I'm going to jump to that top side, because he saw he had a gap in front of the 03 and the 83. 03 and the 87. Again, we talked about it. They may not be formal teammates in this series, but they know each other very well, and they've worked really well together also. And it's one of those things too, Brandon. It may not be something that you normally work with or officially work with, but if it's something that's going to help you get to the front, you're going to try to take it. So we'll see if Gabe can get to the front with help from that number 03. Also, again, got Patrick there. Seth's kind of rolling back a little bit there. He's got Frank Ranger behind him. Frank's starting to climb up some positions as well. And then I'm looking at some of the strategy, I think, come in. You see Bud Steele, he's leaving a nice gap to the guys in front of him. Then you got Ryan Deckers right there. And then again, you talked about some of the other teammates there with Anthony Lane, Joshua Highball, and so Nick Wing, Jim Brooks. So we're probably about halfway through this first fuel run here, Brendan. I do think we're going to probably see 2 trains of thought on the fuel window. Some guys probably pitting around that 23, 22 mark. I think someone's going to try to make that 24, 25 happen, but will it be enough? Oh my goodness, that was close there as Gabe takes that inside lane going into 1.
Yeah, nice move there by the 88, and I think the 6 and them, they got it dialed in. They talk about, working so good together as teammates, and they have been the one this year to maybe go an extra lap when everybody else is pitting, or maybe they come a lap before, but maybe with this strategy, they're saying, hey, we're going to hang out in the back and we're going to go one more lap extra than everybody else. And if you're at 23 and you can get to lap 24 and then, you start adding that up, that really puts you in a good shot if we stay green.
Yeah, that magic number, like we talked about, it's going to be 25 is the magic number, because you got to get to 75. So if they can do that, they could actually maybe cut a pit stop out, and that could obviously play a big role in that one. And we kind of saw that, not to this extent on Thursday night with the trucks, but they were going 2 to 3 laps longer per run. But I think the difference was, and we talked to the drivers like Gabe about it with the win, he said we took the gamble. We said we're only going to get enough fuel to make it to the end of the race, no further. And from what I was talking, when we talked to I think it was the 3rd place driver from those that went further, they said they had more fuel. Actually, it was Ryan Decker. I apologize. He said they still had some fuel in the tank. So on that one, I think they actually did not take the gamble. Like I said, and that probably cost them maybe an extra second or so in fuel, which again, maybe could have made the difference. We don't know. So we'll see if we get into a situation like this again, where what kind of gambles are you willing to make towards the end of this race? Do you do the bare minimum to get to the end, or are you going to try to pull something off and just make sure if there's a caution, you don't have to come in an extra time?
Yeah, and the main word you put there, is when you come into pit. We seen on Thursday a couple of these guys nailed it, and some of them didn't. We seen a few, pit road chaos, and yeah, it's a different car, but with it being the truck. But the same thing, it's a lot more easier to happen in these because the way the shape of the cars and how easy it is to get behind somebody and turn them around or just trying to check up. So you're really going to have to execute tonight.
Yeah, no, the way these cars, you can see the just kind of the angle of the noses, and so you can bump them. Let's say you can definitely get to the back of them, give them a decent shove. However, there's going to be that speed differential where at some point it's going to be too much, and once you get that to that number, you're going to actually lift the back end of that car up, and at that point, yeah, that there's no rear wheels on the ground for that leading car, so that's where trouble happens. Whereas, like I said, with the trucks, slightly different animal, definitely a lot broader nose. They can kind of just get nose to tail, and not. It's definitely can be a lot more aggressive, similar to the next gen as well. So that's definitely one of those things we have to watch for. But yeah, right now, like I said, there's a few drivers making little moves here and there, and like I said, I think there's kind of two strategies going on right now. These guys are just saying, you know what, we're just going to race and see how it goes. And then, like I said, I'm still watching these guys a little further back, because you can see that single file line starting to grow a little bit. It's only about 4 cars double wide. You see the groovers there. Again, look how much movement there is from those 4 on the top here. Just that wiggle back and forth on the top side there. It's just always one of those concerning things when you're on the inside. You're just like, oh, please don't drift down into me. You get a little nervous on those lanes.
Yeah, you definitely do, and especially here because it can get so tight and narrow so quick. So you really, as you're moving, and so much is going on, especially when you're in the middle, because you're watching your mirror, watching in front of you, and one little hiccup can change your whole race.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. Right now, looks like things have kind of settled in a little bit. Like I said, it's getting to that point though where we're going to see the second lane. They're going to have to get aggressive and either try to clear themselves to the front, or hope they can find somebody willing to open up a lane to let them slide into spot here. And I think that might be Seth's having some troubles. You can see he kind of drifted way down, had to correct it. And yeah, there's something going on. And you see, here goes the reaction. Actually, these guys are going to short pit a fair amount here. So these are the 5 teammates, I should say. Hopefully all able to get down to speed in time. So Robert's going to have to make sure he gets in and out of his pit stall quick, because he came in a little bit behind. But yeah, so I say Seth definitely having a little bit of something going on. But the problem with that now is, look at the separation that it's caused here, as now they're over a second back. Seth's got a little bit of right front damage as well. And so this is probably putting a thorn into the strategy of those guys that are fuel saving. So definitely an odd situation going on right now for those guys. So we'll have to watch up front here now to see. Like I said, this is definitely a different strategy. Oh, we do have one, unfortunately, looks like Anthony Lane, who did get a penalty in the 081 car. And unfortunately, that short pit, I'm looking at them on track on the map right now, Brandon, and they're pretty spread out at the moment. There are a couple of them together, but right now Dale Rapp, he's all by himself. Joshua and Robert are together. As I said, that you see Robert there try to get on throttle too quick. Great save, but unfortunately, that's just now he's going to have to try to recover here once more as we get back underway. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't know if this gamble's going to work for these guys. It's just unfortunately just didn't quite line up. And now, yeah, you look at the 19, he's having to try to run the apron not to get in the way. A lot happening right there in those last couple laps.
Yeah, that was maybe as we see 3 more
reaction.
teammates, yep, they peel off, and Gabe, big heavy lockup there. Heavy lockup, by the 24, hopefully made it down in time. But yeah, definitely some different strategies, some very early pitting, and some unfortunate for the 081 there is we see Gabe and Everett, these guys bring it down in this 3-car pack. And Gael, I like this move by Gabe and them. Come in now. We've already started to see guys are just dropping off and coming. Stay in this 3-car pack. You can make a lot of good time with a 3-car pack, as we see the 24 and the 88, and now the 071 get going. The 24 and the 88's right on their nose to tail there, and you can really cut into the time if these guys start to come in bigger packs and have more chaos, as we see a few more guys now peeling off.
Yeah, but look at the 17 Frank Ranger. Oh, too hot, unfortunately. What Frank needs to do now here is actually just go right back on track here, not get a penalty, because it's going to be a bigger hit to do that, and that's what he's going to do. He's just going to drive right through. But again, on the TW side, this is interesting because you've got Dean and Tom Dixon, but no Charles Johnson on this one. So right now we've got a huge split of pit strategies. And the other thing that did is I do now see Bud Steele, Ryan Decker, and company. They've caught back up to these guys. But again, they probably had to burn a ton of fuel in the process. So I think that strategy to get to that lap, maybe 25 mark, probably out the door here. But I think we'll likely see a few more come in. Yep, here we go. It's going to be Ray Renauer. This is going to be a good chunk of the field. I'm looking at Seth here. Or I'm sorry, now it's Patrick. Oh, contact. There's the nose difference. I talked about more contact. Oh, no, this is not going well for all these guys. The 32, the 28, the 83, the 6 car. And then we also saw the 54 go a little wide as well. Just nothing going. This has definitely been a tough pit stop here. Let's go back here and watch this entry because that was just a crazy one here.
Yeah, some guys definitely coming in hot. I think a lot of, as we see right here, everybody's starting to peel off immediately. So we can see in the back that these guys know, hey, we got to get spread out a little bit as much as we can. As we see the 54 up there, he's trying to make sure he doesn't run over everybody. In the meantime, he just locks it up too late, trying to play it not too safe, but not run over anybody. And unfortunately, he gets out of pit road, and we see the 6 run right into his teammate as he's locking him up.
A little bit too hot on entry. That sends him around. And then right behind him, that's where you'll see the 32 get a piece of it as well. Then the 28. And then we talked about the nose, and right there, Nick Wing just drives up and over him. Then at that point, there's really nothing you can do except for just kind of keep throttling through. So let's jump back live because this is going to completely shake up the running order of this race here. As right now, here comes Gabe Butler, Everett Lane, Eric Laurie. They have all gotten back together. They're going to take the point. Dean Wilkinson and Tom Dixon, they also pitted that lap later. They've just gone on by the field. And then they're going to pick up Charles Johnson, Kevin Hash, Ray Rittner. They got through clean. But then this is where it's going to get a little tight here. Ryan Decker is going to need to try to get help from Anthony Lane. Jim Brooks is going to have to do everything he can to just try to get onto the back of Ryan and Anthony here. But right now it's just slowly clicking the wrong way here. This almost might be a situation where if Ryan can roll out a little bit, try to pick up the 51, I think that extra car could actually pay dividends. But unfortunately, I think at this point, I think the draft just broke because that 51 is starting to climb the wrong way. That ticker not going the way he wants to. And so right now that's going to look like turn this field into probably an 8-car breakaway because now Ryan has lost those guys as well. So definitely in a very, very eventful first set of pit stops. And then we got to try to find where is everybody else in all of this. Bud Steele now sits in 19th position. He is, I believe, still, let me double check. I think he's still in the lead lap. Oh, actually, no, I'm sorry. We have a bunch of cars lapped down now here, Brandon. Anthony Lane, the first one down in the 081. Then you got Gary Huffines, also one down. Bud Steele, Patrick Groover, Seth Groover, all these guys trapped a lap down here as they were in the pits for about a minute, over a minute on some of them. And then Jack Walls had about a 26-second pit stop, just again due to all the craziness going on. So, yeah, that short pit strategy was definitely the way to go as they were able to kind of separate themselves from all the craziness going on. But now here's going to be a fight within a fight because these guys are going to want to try to stay 1 down, not 2 down. So watch for the 54 and 32. They might have to make some moves here, Brandon.
Yeah, you're definitely going to have to get on it and race hard because we got so many guys now a lap down. But I like what you said there. At first, I was a little nervous about it, but man, this is why the 88 and the 24 and them guys are so good. They just had a hunch. They came early, and it paid off. Them big groups, it's so hard, when you ask all them guys to come down, for everybody to be on the same page because not everybody's on the same team or has the same radio communication. They might say, hey, in the black box, pitting now or, letting them know that they're coming to pit road, but to hit your marks just perfect is so difficult, and that's why I was so shocked not to see Roswell just come by themselves like the 88 and them guys did.
Yeah, and like I said, I think what may have thrown them off was that the issue that the 32 had, and I think that kind of then, again, it probably took their strategy out. They had to try to basically just make a quick adjustment, say, wait, okay, what do we want to do? And it's like, okay, well, we got to pit this time. I think that one of those things were the greatest plans type of a thing. But what could be the saving grace for one of those drivers, Ryan Decker right here, is going to be this guy right in front of him now, Jack Walls. We always talk about that ladder. And I think what's going to happen right now is Jack is going to basically be that draft that's going to be able to pull that number 48 back into the group here. And so, yeah, they're already now back within a second. So Really good work by Ryan there with the help from Anthony Lane. And that puts now Ryan back into this lead pack. So now 9 cars together. And then we mentioned Jim Brooks was so close to getting there, just couldn't quite do it. So now he's got to try to make sure if he can at least try to tag onto the back of Joshua Highball and Dale Rapp, that's going to then at least be able to, again, minimize the time loss. But right now, same thing. He's trying to get to him, but it seems like right now they're drafting. Their momentum is just too strong, so he's already down about 6/10 off of those guys. So we'll keep an eye and see if that kind of comes back together, if it brings them into 3. But right now we're back going here live with the lead pack, and there's the Groovers. Just like I said, they don't want to be 3 down. They need to try to, or sorry, 2 down. They want to get back to that 1 lap down to at least give them a fighting chance if we get a yellow. So let's say it's going to be that race within a race. So Gabe, Everett, and Eric and company, they're going to have to decide, hey, how hard do we want to fight this right here?
Yeah, and if I'm the 88 or the 24, maybe I let them go. We know the Groovers push really good, and then maybe this is your chance where you can save a little bit of fuel, since everybody's spread out and you only got 9 cars in this pack. So that you can save for coming maybe that lap early and make up that difference, or save a lap for later on when for the next pit stop or the last pit stop. You start to add all that up, and it comes back with these guys like the 88 and the 24 not being involved in that stuff, or that hiccup that, with coming to pit road. I think it comes back, you said with the 32 back there and they kind of got distance, it's so hard to tell yourself to be up front and aggressive and pushing for 75 straight laps. We rode along with somebody and we seen how difficult it is, but to have that mindset and be up there that long, but you see what happens when you don't. So it's going to be interesting to see how these guys, play the rest of this race.
Yeah, but then we got to go to the Lucky Dog battle, because right now we've got 3 cars vying for it. Right now it sits with this guy here, the 17 of Frank Ranger. He's in that spot. The next car eligible is the 83 of Jack Wells. He's got some damage. And then also the 081 of Anthony Lane. So those 3 are going to be fighting for their own battles here as well. And like I said, right now Frank's decided, you know what, I'm going to jump up top here. I'm going to go with those Groovers, because right now they've been able to move a fair bit forward. So right now, like I said, Frank's in a good spot. He's got a couple car lengths in between himself and Jack Walls. So yeah, so right now he's definitely trying to do what he can. And I think right now you see that damage on that number 32 car might be affecting his ability to push the 54 as well as he would like to. And so that inside line once more started to surge forward here with that 24, the 88, and the 071 locked on here, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, what is I'm watching here is I'm surprised nobody else, any of these guys in the back is hopped up on that, that second lane. Everybody is content with just riding. I think everybody's had their scare, but I figured we talk about this, Gael. This is when you can make your moves to get up to the front, so you're not back there when all these guys come to pit, when these guys are just riding and just saving and just cruising along. This is where you can make up a half second or a second. So interesting to see that nobody's hopped up there with them guys.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's, again, maybe it's just one of those things now where, like you said, the pit stop maybe kind of startled them a little bit, maybe made them a little nervous. But then also, again, it's one of those ones where it's like, hey, we just had 1 pit stop. We went from 21 cars fighting for the win of this race to 9 at the moment. Let's not rock the boat too much. We're in a really good spot here, and we can maybe try to see if we can grab some extra positions at some point in this race. But yeah, right now it definitely has that feel of this is a race as it runs right now that could be won in and out of pit road. And I'm looking also on the championship side of things. Right now, the top 3 after the first race of the playoffs is Raymond Rittenauer. Right now, Ray is in 8th position. Ryan Decker is second in points. He right now is in 9th, also in that main pack. And then Eric Laurie, who right now sits in 3rd. So right now, the top 3 in the points are still in that main pack. 4th and 5th, unfortunately, Joshua Highball, he's out here on his own in that 101 machine. And which actually, looking at it now, something, I say there's definitely, they say that you see went to Dale Rapp, he caught the wall pretty heavily there. I'll say there's something going on there because they had 3 of them together, so must have been something that I missed, obviously, in that whole process. But so yeah, so unfortunately, Joshua's out back there, and then Nick Wing as well here. He's got some Roswell teammate, and then he's got a couple of those other drivers. We mentioned the same team as well, with that 77 as well as I believe that's the 19, of Gary Huffines. So yeah, so right now, I mean, in the top 5, we've got 3 together, 2 that lost the pack, So a lot that, again, there's going to be a lot that has to happen here in these next. There's still going to be what, 3 more pit stops in this race. So, and we're again probably about 5 laps away from it here already.
Yeah, and what these guys need to remember is that there's still a lot of race left, and for those guys like Nick Wing that lost the pack, and there's anything can still happen. These guys still up here can be caught up in something, and you got to keep racing as much as it sounds, because you still have 2 races left in the playoffs. And so that was one of my hardest things, is when you're driving around back there by yourself, is like, oh, you got it, because you kind of lose your focus, and you're all the way locked in. And then when something like that happens, for me it was how to stay locked in, because the caution can come, and then you got to get right back into race mode. So it's going to see how interesting it is once these pit stops come, and how these groups, if they break off again, or if they come all together in this big whole pack.
Yeah, no, and I think at this point, you've pretty much, I think, got to react to the boot knockers here, because, like I said, we saw how crazy it got, but then again, there's that risk of trying to get everybody in at one time. So, but the other thing that's not too far away, they're not there yet, but you saw there for just a split second, that group with Nick Wing and company, here's the leaders through 3 and 4. They're just coming across the start-finish line, so it's only 4 of them, and so lap time obviously is definitely going the right way for these guys to catch them. So it might be one of those things too, where you can go an extra lap or 2, but maybe if you start to sniff the draft of those guys, and it's like, hey, we're going to have to find a way to get around them, let's jump in early, because we don't want to have to risk fighting that. So there's always different ways of approaching this thing. So, and if you're the groovers, I think you take it as long as you can, hope for a yellow. Maybe you can kind of just grab one of those laps back the old-fashioned way, and then see how it shakes out from there. But then again, going back to the strategy side, we've now got Jack Walls. He's now the first car one down. But also look at not Nick Wing. Look at the 48 of Ryan Decker. Ryan's jumped up top there. He's climbed all the way up into about that top 5 or so. But again, pit stop's looming. He's going to at some point have to find a way down. But I'm thinking he might be planning on, again, once the field starts to peel off, maybe he goes that 1 extra lap just to have a clean entry. And again, to pit from the front of the field versus pitting from about a second back in the back of that line.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Gael. I think that is definitely the plan of those guys, and thinking, why not? We're already, like with the 83, we're already 1 down. We got a couple other guys 1 down. Why not? Let's not get involved in anything else, and let's see if the same thing happens again. This time might be a caution, and we don't have to, fix anything, because some of these guys may have had to use a fast repair.
Oh man, it is getting tight as well. You can see the 32 and 70 about making contact through 3 and 4. And right now you can see Seth and Patrick, they're doing everything in their powers to try to get around Gabe to get, again, just back to 1 down. But right now just haven't been able to make it happen. You see at 32, just a big wiggle there through travel as he just crossed the halfway point in this race. So again, 2 more pit stops to go in this one for sure for all these drivers. So right now it's just figuring out when is that going to be. And like I said, they leaders pitted on lap number 20 for Gabe, Everett, and Eric. We're coming to 40 this time around, so it could be this lap, could be next lap. But again, they're very different situations going on now, but I do think we're going to see probably a pretty quick response. However, look at Ryan Decker. He was able to slot in with Jack Walls right ahead of that 411 of Tom Dixon. So in this whole thing, they definitely net a few spots here, as well as a little bit of track position, just time-wise to the leaders. So a little surprised that Kevin Hash, Ray Rittner, I'm surprised they've kind of rolled back as much as they did. I thought they'd try to hold a little tighter to same thing, kind of try to keep those championship contenders behind them.
Yeah, and I think just everybody's just so nervous. It's so much has just happened, and as we see, everybody's pushing it further and further and further, which tells me, Gael, that it's going to be a very, very big pit entrance. And what we haven't talked about yet tonight, which has come into factor with these cars, is I haven't seen anybody take right side tires yet. So tire wear, I think, is going to start to play a factor also in your pit stop time.
Yeah, but we got one coming in there. That was Robert Amaral, I believe. Yep, there he is. Also, Dale Rapp, Joshua Hybaugh, they are in as well, which unfortunately, maybe not, again, communication side of things, that left at 51 now, another lap here without any draft. So same thing, that's going to definitely hurt him. He's pretty much just got to react now and probably just pit this time to minimize that time by yourself. Oh, see Frank Granger catch the wall out of 2. Just able to catch it there. But you can see that thing was just shaking back and forth, just able to grab it. So yeah, so big moment for him as right now, and there goes 51. He is on pit road. And now we jump up front here because I think we're probably about to see these guys jump in, and it might be one of those ones where they don't call it. They might just jump in late. Yep, here they come. And look at that, they cut it late enough where nobody can respond except for Anthony Lane. A lot of lock. Oh, again, too hot for Anthony. He's going to have to go back out on track. So one more time, it's going to be the three boot knockers here together. And again, just a lot calmer doing it this way than the others. I say now Jim Brooks, he's going to have to try to get, oh man, that was a very lucky break. I thought for sure the 51 to 070 were going to make contact there. And so now we start to get ready for that next cycle of pit stops. The Groovers now, they do have the tail end of one down or two down, I guess, where they're now just one lap down. Charles Johnson officially the leader of this race. But I think we're about to see a very busy pit road here for these guys to react.
Yeah, and what that just did by iRacing being nice and sweet was that just saved really the 88 and the 24 race also. Not just the 071 and the 51, but the 24 and the 88 also, because they would have had no third car, and you definitely need a third car or you will lose time immediately.
Yeah, and the way iRacing works, and yeah, there you go, they're all right together. But the way it works in iRacing is in your pit stalls, it basically turns your car invisible. However, and then at that point, though, at some point when you get out of your pit stall, the kind of the contact patch, if you will, kind of comes back. So it was just honestly a lucky break that the 51, the 071 didn't make contact. But what I'm seeing here is I just watched Kevin Hash and Ray Rittenauer. They're for sure. They're saying, you know what, let's go up top. We're going to run one more lap here. Here comes a good chunk of the field coming onto pit road. That's going to be some of the TW guys, along with again, big lockups by a lot of these guys here. We'll have to watch the 55 and the 9. Were they okay? The 83, 48 as well. So smaller group. I said that looked like a pretty good entry overall. So we'll have to watch it again. Now it's all about the pit stalls. So far, so good. No reverses. Nailed by all those guys. Great job. You see left side tires going in the 55 and the 9. And so now here come the Hash brothers with Kevin Hash, Ray Rittenauer. So I still got to bug Kevin. He's got to get that sponsorship on there. But what's going to happen, this is a good opportunity for them because they're going to get a really fast in-lap here, Brandon, because they're just getting all the straps of those 4 cars in front of them. And, yeah, here they come. They're going to all peel off. Well, actually, just the 2 of them are going to peel off. And this is going to be even easier. But, look, again, big lockups by all of them. Again, man, these cars just are not stopping well here tonight at Daytona. These tires and brake bias seem to be very picky tonight.
Yeah, it's definitely locking them up, and we're seeing guys only take left sides, as it didn't look like the 87 was taking any tires there. So as these guys start to lock them up, that starts to put a lot of wear on these tires, and it's definitely, if you're not changing, it's going to be hard to make moves. As we see the 9 and the 55, I believe these are our leaders, correct?
Once everything cycles through, they could wind up being the lead of the race, but right now, I got to say, the 03 and the 87, they went that lap longer. Again, we talked about they were going to get a great pit entry, and sure enough, they have done that. So we'll see where they cycle out officially. You're going to see Jim Brooks come by them. That's going to put Jim back to the tail end of the lead lap here. And now they're going to start to pick up the speed. But again, it's just the 2 of them. So then, then it's going to come over to Charles Johnson here, who is actually, he is leading this pack. Sorry, he's got Dean Wilkinson right there. Tom Dixon's just a little back. So right now, we've got, again, the lucky dog battle here is about to be really big because right now I think Dale Rapp is one down, Joshua Highbaugh, Nick Wing, and here comes the field. There goes Hash and Rittenauer. So we're going to move Charles Johnson to the point in that 9. Dean Wilkinson there in second, and then a couple lap cars between themselves and Tom Dixon, who is currently now showing right about to be the 3rd spot if he can clear, and he can. Yep, there he goes. Okay, yes, I wasn't sure if he's going to make it or not. So that's going to give us, once everything cycles through, it looks like we'll once more have still 9 cars here on the lead lap, as Everett Lane, Eric Laurie, and Gabe Butler will still get back up to them. So so a lot happening here in these cycle of pit stops, but we still have one more pit stop left to go in this one, as now the field's going to work their way to try to get Jim Brooks a lap down. And again, also looks like you see Bud Steele, Ryan Decker here going to try to get some track position. That's where it gets tight here. And it looks like they're going to come through and skid. But right now, I think we got a bigger lucky dog battle than anything else right now, Brandon.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have some guys amping the racing up, and this is what you want to see if you're the the 19 or the 081 or the 52 or the 54 and 32. You want to see these guys up here racing because you want that caution to come out to give you an opportunity and not you don't want you don't want to wish bad upon anybody, but you need luck, and especially when you're a playoff driver, you don't want to be a couple laps down and have that bad finishing spot.
Yeah, and LCC, here's the Gruber brothers. They went as far as they could. Now they pit, but it's the same thing now. Unfortunately, they're going to go from that 1 down to 2 down. And Bud Steele's in the same situation as them right now. He's actually 2 down. He's trying to get to 1 down. And with the pushes from Ryan Decker, Ryan's actually trying to vie for the lead of this race right now. So again, for Bud Steele, again, we talked about being 2 down. You're gonna have a bad time. It's gonna be hard to recover from that. At 1 down, there's a lot that you can do. So right now, Ryan Decker, you see also Jack Walls joining there. But Ryan, again, he's got to be careful. He's in this championship hunt. He does not need to risk that motor because he has been locked onto that number 6 car for a couple laps now. But right now, the Lucky Dog battle right now is going between Dale Rapp and Jack Walls. Dale on the inside, Jack on that outside line. Joshua Highball's not too far behind as well. Nick Wings right there. So we've got a very big battle. Like I said, I mean, the Lucky Dog battle is probably about as big as this battle for the lead as things run right now.
Yeah, Gael, I got a question for you. We got 27 to go right now. And if you are these guys, do you think about maybe short pitting coming in, only happen to take a few seconds of fuel because you know that you only got to go a couple laps, and then maybe you can worry in case that late caution comes out and you don't have to pit again. So do you think maybe some of these guys pull a strategy and say, hey, let's get out of this hornet's nest and let's take our final pit stop?
Honestly, yeah, it's definitely something that could be worthwhile, but the problem is, I think, is just right now, look at how big this pack is. I'm afraid to short pit because I don't know at that point, do you have the speed if things don't go absolutely perfect? So I think in this situation, you might have to run long. And honestly, in this situation, I kind of put advantage to Kevin Hash and Ray Rittenauer because they went the furthest. They settled in right nicely into the middle of the pack, and that's going to let them take the least amount of fuel than the other guys around them. So I really like where the 03 and the 87 are sitting on the fuel side of things. The top 4 also pitted a lap before them at 43, but like I said, they're all up front pushing really hard right now, so they're by far using the most fuel of these guys. So yeah, I think you go long. I don't think you can risk doing the short pit strategy just because of how big this field is. When it was spread out a little bit earlier, where every guy had about maybe 4, 5, 6 cars, I think then, yeah, I would have thought about the short pit. But I think at this point, it's just, I don't think you can take the gamble, especially if you have, let's say, 3 or 4 cars. If you lose 1 or 2 in the pit stop process, because we've seen a lot of penalties, I think it's too risky at this point. I think you got to go a little more conservative now for this final stop.
Yeah, it just scares me, especially in the spot with like the 88 and the 24. I believe they were one of the first groups to come, and now they're in the back. So now they have to react to everybody else that's going on up here. As we starting to see guys moving, jockeying for position, it's starting to amp up, and it just makes me so nervous, man. As these guys, and you got to come to that last one. You don't want to be in somebody else's mistake. I'd be so irritated.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, like, I mean, I feel like I say this week in, week out, it's that risk versus reward. It's a double-edged sword. You don't know what's going to be the right move to make. But what I do really like right now, though, is look at Ryan Decker. He's been able to get to the inside lane, and I think he's trying to, yep, you see right there, I think he's trying to get some of his teammates to be able to line up here. He's able to get that 83 of Jack Walls into the mix there. That puts Jack as the first car 1 down. I'm also watching the 28 here. Here comes Nick Wing as well. So, and yep, there goes Bud. He's going to slot in. So, you know what this could be here is, and again, you can see, I think, yep, they're going to get the 28 too. This is maybe starting to file out what you're just talking about here, Brendan. Are these guys trying to get themselves organized where they say, you know what, we are going to pit as soon as that window opens. We've got 4 of us. We can probably get Jim in there as well because he's in this pack right there also. This could be an opportunity for them, like I said, to try, like I said, just get out of this craziness that we've seen for a little while and just pit as soon as you can. And like I said, there's times where I think it's worth the gamble. I think right now, again, you've got 9 cars on lead lap. I say you take the bare minimum fuel to make it to the end. Don't go for the green, white checkers. as short as you can make your pit stop, make it on that final lap. Is oh, right there, you see the Groovers again. They're trying to do everything they can. Like earlier, they want to get back to that one down from two. And for the moment, Seth's just got a nose ahead here, but we'll see if either of them can clear it.
Yeah, and I'm with you there. You know, the communication's perfect. You know where everybody's gonna go. That 3-4 cars, it lets everybody fan out, and if they lock up, nobody gets hurt because it's so wide as you enter pit road right there. It does narrow as you come down, but then you're slowed down a lot more as these guys are going upwards to almost 200 mile an hour, and you got to drop down to 55, and I think it's the risk or the reward is worth more than the risk here because, like you said, there's only 9 cars on the lead lap, and what I just don't see all 4 of them going a lap down once the pit cycles through.
No, exactly right. And this is a track that you can pit without losing a lap. Here in Talladega, you can. At iRacing Super Speedway and at Atlanta, you will usually get trapped a lap down. But the other thing I talked about with some of the drivers that maybe aren't formally teammates but work together well, I'm looking at Kevin Hash, Ray Rittenauer. They're right there together. And then there's Gabe Butler. There's Ray Rittenauer. Or sorry, Everett Lane, apologies, Eric Laurie. So that's 5 of them locked on together here. So, but you can see they're laying pretty far back here. So, oh, as I said, I see smoke coming up. And, oh, we got trouble. Cars up and around. Caution is out. That is going to change the complexion greatly of this race. And I think it may have been, yeah, is Patrick Groover one of those involved? I think Tom Dixon as well. And so, unfortunately, that's going to bring the yellow out, and it's going to be no question on the strategy side of things. Everybody can make it to the end, but actually, let me go back because did Ray get a piece of this as well? How's that car looking? It looks all right. Wonder if he maybe just went to play it extra safe. Let's go back here. Let's see where this contact occurred. So, oh yeah, you already see how it's about to happen here. We're talking about could they clear or not. And so we're going to watch the 54. And again, I mean, you're playing with inches here. And it's, let's see. Yeah, I think maybe for a split second cleared. And then unfortunately, just, yeah, the 9 gets in the back of the 54. And like I said, and that's why we see those guys make those really quick, abrupt moves, Brandon, because the draft pulled Charles right back into him. And then unfortunately, you see the 9, the 54. There's the 411 as well. And so now we'll watch the accordion here out back because let's say then you start to watch the reactions. So we saw the 87. Where's Everett here? Or sorry, Ray. Okay, so yeah, Everett gets in the back of Ray with everybody trying to check up. But I think, let's keep watching. Oof, just in front of the 51. So I think most of these guys are going to come through unscathed. And now we get the leaders here all hitting pit road. And so now it's going to be strategy time. Do you stay out if you're a lapper to try to get your lap back, or what do you do here? So we also have to see who is our lucky dog in this one. Is it going to be, no, it's not going to be Nick Wing. It's going to be Joshua Highbaugh. Remember we talked about the first car one down. If they're involved, they're not going to get that free pass. So those guys that were ahead of him had some sort of an involvement. That keeps them trapped that one lap down. 101 takes advantage. And also the 32, he was ahead when the incident occurred, so he goes from 2 down to 1 down, albeit with a fair bit of damage. Probably a fast repair going to have to happen for him. And then I'm watching Nick Wing and Frank Ranger here. It looks like they're going to try to stay out and maybe bank on a quick yellow here to get them back on that lead lap. So a lot of strategy going on. We'll take a quick break. I got to show off our wonderful sponsor with, speaking of Frank Ranger, with Ranger Creative Concepts. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
I feel like I'm afraid to say how I feel, to know I let you down. Cause late nights turn to days, don't wanna let you down. With each breath we give away, it'll never be the same. I'm chasing somebody who won't ever ease the pain, but I don't want half of your heart, heart, heart. You can have it back if it's only half of your heart. If it's only half of your heart.
All right, we're focused on that number 17 of Frank Granger Jr. Unfortunately, opted to go ahead and just come back into pit road. I was really hoping he was going to take the gamble and try to get back on the lead lap and see what happens. That's exactly what we just saw the 28 of Nick Wing do as I'm watching the 54 there drift at a pit exit. But yeah, so this is, at this point now, strategy's out the window for the leaders here, Brandon, because we've got all of the top, looks like 10 are going to be back in this race here. Joshua Heibaugh getting that wave around. Nick Wing still has to pit, so he's going to hope for a yellow. That'll bring him back into the race. And then you've got the lucky dog fight. You're going to have Robert Amaral in the 77, Jack Walls in the 83, Jim Brooks in the 51, Dale Rapp in there. Frank Ranger is going to be back in there. Seth Groover, again, we talked about him getting one back. He's right back into the mix as well. So we have a very big lucky dog battle. Again, it's pretty much as big as the battle for the lead and the win of this race. So, and then we talked about the championship side of things. Top three in the points are all still here together. Eric Laurie there still sits in third. Looks like, where's Ray? Ray is in the top 10 and ninth. Ryan Decker is right around seventh. So they're all still right here together, the top three entering tonight's in the points. But again, a big win for somebody could propel them way up the running order. And right now, like I said, Dean is our current leader. He's got a teammate right next to him. He's got a teammate right behind him with Tom Dixon. So TW has a pretty good setup right now with where they are. But Brandon, we're going to restart the thing with 17 to go. That's almost a full fuel run. So there's going to be a lot to happen in these final handful of laps.
Yeah, I definitely believe some of these guys took their gloves and took that 40 racewear and tightened it back up and locked back in. And this is where I talked about earlier, with Nick Wing, in the situation that he was in, as we see the 55 get a great start, as him and the 9 really get a good jump here on this field. But this was the staying patient and staying with the race and staying locked in, because as we see, a late race caution put 28 right back in business.
Yeah, exactly right. And I think that we talked about the strategies on the restarts, and I think what we saw there was the 55 and the 9 said, hey, let's get our teammates lined up here, because now add the 411 Tom Dixon to that inside line. So they've got all three TW drivers lined up at the inside. But then look on the outside lane. Here come the Bootknockers. Eric Laurie leading Kevin Hash, who's leading Gabe Butler, who's leading the 24 of Everett Lane. So their drivers, they're starting to find the teammates, trying to find their friends and who they want to work with. Lucky dog battle right now. Jack Walls has it for the moment. Jim Brooks right near him as well. And then again, Dale Rapp right there as well, right behind Jack Walls. So those three are the ones at the furthest forward of the lucky dog. But also got to mention, I saw Nick Wing there. He took the wave around, got back in the lead lap, and then immediately pitted. So if there's a quick caution, he's right back into the thick of things. However, if a caution comes out, or if the caution does not come out, it's going to come pretty much right back where he started. So I'm pretty intrigued by the strategy by Nick. I'm not too opposed to it, honestly, because I think this could be one of those ones where even if he does get put back lap down, he's right back to where he was previously. So it gives him a handful of laps here to have a chance to get back into this race. So we'll see if it works out for the 28 or not. But right now, though, we got some teammates working together here in the inside and outside lanes as we're going to cross here 15 to go.
Yeah, and I think Nick Wing's mindset was exactly what you talked about, Gael, with all the one lap down cars, how they were going to be in this pack and how it was going to be basically a race within another race. So I'm also with you. It's risk it and get yourself back on the lead lap and hope something happens, compared to being in this mess and maybe being caught up in a caution and not getting your lap back at all. So the 071 though making way. It looks like he's got an edge out there on the 55.
Yeah, just a nose ahead there for Eric Laurie. Now the inside lane surges once more, puts Dean back with the nose ahead. And yeah, like I said, there's definitely the two trains of thought that you could have done there. His other option, of course, could have been, had he still taken the wave round, just basically sit in the back of this draft, save as much fuel as he possibly could, and then pit at the very end of the window. But yeah, so I mean, I don't know if there was a right decision here for him to do. So yes, but he, like I said, he opted to go ahead and do that quick pit stop. But you can see him just in the corner of your screen there. So probably about the next lap, they're going to come back up to the 28, put him back a lap down. And so then he'll be right into that pack of the lucky dog battles like we just talked about with Jack and Dale and Jim, Robert, Seth, and Frank. So I say he's going to have a bunch of cars to contend with here. And of course, again, that's if we get a yellow, because again, we still have plenty of time to go. And But right now, most of the lead lap cars here, about the top 4 or 5 spots on track are all leaders. Right now, first car one down still continues to be that number 83 of Jack Walls with Dale Rapp right behind him. But here we go. The field's about to come up to that 28. And this is, again, when you're in this pack, you start to get a little nervous because you got room here at Daytona, Brandon, but it feels like it gets very tight very quickly.
Yeah, it's definitely the reason where we talk about why they don't run the third lane as much as they do at Talladega or Atlanta like that, because it is very tight. It's actually about a 6 to 8 foot difference, I think it is, from the Daytona to Talladega in wideness, as we can see right there. Nick Wing is doing the respectful thing, though, and got as close as he could, and hopefully he can stay back here with this pack.
Yeah, and the issue there is with him just catching that wall is that it kind of pulls you into it, and that's going to cost him a handful of mile an hour. So now he's got to make sure he doesn't lose that draft, which at this point I'm a little worried about him. I don't think he's going to get back to these guys. We'll see if he can, but no, I think he's already too far off the draft. So I think at this point, unfortunately for him, he's going to need a yellow to bring him back into it. But then again, the same thing I just mentioned, where he's going to have others involved to get back into it as well. So as I say that, we got trouble in front. It's involving Jack Walls. Right now we stay green because everybody stayed pointed the right direction. And that's always a tough one as well for some of the drivers to kind of have that pill to swallow, if you will. But it looks like we will stay green. Let's go back. I'll try to see if I can try to catch it where it all occurred here. So we're going to focus on Jack. I saw the initial contact right around him. So we're back on replay here as we head into 3. Oh, yeah, the 52 got into the left rear, and then that sent the 2 of them around. And then we watched Jim Brooks there, a little bit of contact. As I say, that caution's actually out now. So let's take a look, see what happened on that one. And it might be, I'm not sure if the admins threw yellow on that one. We'll go back, we'll take another look here. But yeah, caution has come out. So let's go back. We'll see if we find anything that stands out of the ordinary. As I said, I'm not sure if you saw anything on your end, Brandon, but from what I'm seeing here, keep an eye and watch.
No, I'm with you. I think this was an admin call, and I like it because there was a car up on his side, and I do like that because that guy that was back there, some of them had to check up just so they don't run over, because you obviously think it's going to be a wreck because somebody's up on another hood, and so you check up, and some of them guys are playoff drivers. As we see Eric, he's still in race mode, but I do like that call. I think some guys were sideways, and I'm a big fan of that call. Don't ruin a playoff contender's chance at a beautiful Frank Ranger trophy because he didn't want to run over the guy in front of him that was already sideways and on his side.
And so I want to go back one more time. We're going to look at this more because now we can actually look at it closer. Because like I mentioned, there's a couple cars. Well, I see right here the 52 looks low. And again, it's hard to say if he was actually trying to go for an actual pass there, if it's just some contact. But yeah, so you see the 5283, the 51 gets a little piece of it. Then we talk about netcode and kind of benefit there. Oh, Frank Ranger gets a big shot into the back of the 32. And then, like I said, we saw a little further back. We mentioned the 28 there of Nick Wing. And so he's able to pretty much come to a stop. And that's also part of it too. When you react, you're like, okay, well, there's a wreck. I got to avoid it. And then you pretty much have to come to a stop. You lose the draft completely, and so that's a tough position to be in as well. So we'll jump back live, though, because Field's taking the flag here. Kevin Hash on pit road here. A little surprised by this one. And then Joshua Heibaugh in as well. And so now we saw there was a bunch of lucky dogs that were possibly involved in it. So now the question is, who is the beneficiary? And it's going to be the 51, Jim Brooks. He's going to get his lap back and get back onto the lead lap. Which, again, unfortunately, we saw the contact from some of those other guys like Jack Walls and Dale Rapp, so that put him down the running order. And so basically the 51 was able to kind of get through all that unscathed. Nick Wing, again, we talked about his strategy, and I don't know, would he have been able to get to this point in the race without pitting or not? But that's where I was thinking, where you just stay in the draft and you just save as much fuel as you can and then pit last second where you absolutely have to. Because unfortunately now he still stays trapped one down. So it was a gamble for Nick, but just did not quite pan out. And yeah, I'll say unfortunately Mama Groover just has not been the greatest night for your boys. So let's say obviously still some time to go. We'll see if anything is able to recover from that one. But Yeah, unfortunately, just it's been a rough one tonight for those two. But hope you are doing well. Definitely love having you over here. And hopefully things will go better when you get to cheer them on here next time around.
And they are having a bad race, but a lot of people are. I think you brought up earlier. I think maybe 11 or 12 cars on the lead lap, and so it does hurt a little bit being that much down. But a lot of people are not having great races, and their wheelhouses fall right in the next 2 weeks, where we can run the third lane and stay up on it and high speed. So don't be surprised to see a bounce back from them too.
Yeah, and that's the thing is when it's not a winner-take-all race, there is still the opportunity to recover. So obviously it's difficult to do. There are 21 drivers here tonight, so if you have a really bad race, it's going to put you way down the running order. And obviously in this case for Patrick, he's in a tough spot because right now he's 19th of those 21. But again, he's got some other guys that are also unfortunately having a tough night, including his brother, unfortunately. But Dale Rapp as well, he sits in 17th position. And so yeah, it's just you don't know for sure how it's going to all pan out. Nick Wing right now still sits in about that 13th spot. I'd say everybody's trying to get themselves organized now. For those that are trapped a lap down, they got to let the leaders go on through. So what we're going to have, though, Brandon, is we're going to restart with 7 to go. We're going to have teammates once more here on the on the front row. And this time the 411 now on the outside with them instead of the inside lane. And then you see Gabe Butler there. He's got Everett Lane right with him. So they got a couple teammates there. Right now, the guy that doesn't really have an official teammate near him is Ryan Decker. So Ryan's going to have to probably just try to make some friends or just work with who he can work with and just find somewhere to go, kind of like we saw Gabe do on Thursday. So we'll see what Ryan's able to make happen here tonight. So basically all the way up to Josh Heibon 10th. These guys will all be right together. Jim Brooks' wave around car, he's going to have to restart in the back of the field. So he's going to have about 8 lappers between himself and the lead pack. So he's in a spot where I don't even know if you push too hard. I think you just play it safe and say, if there's a wreck ahead of me, I want to just let it happen, get through it, and then I know I'm going to cycle out with the leaders on the next restart. So we'll see what the strategy is here, but like I said, we've got 7 to go here on this restart.
Yeah, we got 7 to go, and we got some hungry drivers. There's the front 2 rows. I don't believe any of the front 2 rows have had a win this year. They've been in the spots we've seen over the last couple weeks. I think we've pictured these 4 cars up here quite a bit, with a bunch to go, and those cars a few rows behind them have made their way. So they've been in this position before. It's going to be very exciting to see how they keep them guys behind them as the 55 and the 9. They had a good restart last time. Let's see if they can get another one this time.
Yeah, I'm saying, let's see what the strategy is going to be here. And you can see again, Dean's going to go a little early, maybe too early. We'll see. And that way, I think we'll see here is I would suspect, I'm wrong. I was going to say I think he'd slide up in front of Charles Johnson and try to get that push on the outside lane. But it looks like they're going to stay side by side here. You see the field very tightly packed, a lot of push in here. And again, you got to be careful not to go too early because that's where you can get in trouble. I'm watching Gabe as well. He's starting to build some gap here. Let's watch that 88 car, what he's able to do. And you can see there, almost where maybe Gabe missed a shift or something because he definitely fell a bit back. But I see right away the Ray Rittenauer, Kevin Hash, they found each other there on that second lane. So we'll see where it's going to be their way to go. But the one capitalizing on all this is Joshua Heiball. Look at him. He's right back to the main pack here on that inside line. So we'll see what he can do as well. And then, of course, Lucky Dog battle. Right now it goes to Robert Amaral. But watch for Seth. He's on his way. He's got Patrick, Nick Wings right there with Jack Wells. So we've got, again, a bunch of good drivers fighting for that Lucky Dog spot. But right now, the battle for the lead of this race, for the win of this race, is behind these 2 teammates here, the 55 and the 9. Eric Laurie, again, trying to find something to happen. Look at Gabe and Everett. Here they come, that third lane. Can they make it happen? Will somebody try to block their path? Right now, it looks like they have clean sailing to the top side.
Yeah, Gael, that caution flag. Hey, have it. Hey, the flagman has it in his back pocket. I don't think it's done yet, as we're seeing 3 wide racing here, and it starts to get very tight. We've seen what they were doing when they were passing a lap car. No lap car up there now, just a car that wants to get to the front. And these guys know what happens when the 88 and the 24 start to make their way up there.
Yeah, and unfortunately, obviously, they don't have Eric Laurie. He's kind of pinned on the inside line, but right now, there you go, front 2 rows, 3 wide here. And again, if the inside lane drifts up a little bit, the middle has to drift up to a little bit, and that's where it puts that 88 and the 24 in danger. But again, they get great momentum out of the turns. And like you said, right here you go, Dean still leading. Now Gabe's got just a nose ahead here down the back. Not enough to clear, but he's definitely shown that he's going to be one to watch here in these final 5 laps, as we always expect to see.
Yeah, and I tell you, a guy that right now's got that 4D gloves tight, and that's that 411 of Tom Dixon. Nothing he can't do. Only thing he can do is stay on the gas pedal, because if he lifts, the 87's right there, and he's got a storm around him. That was always my most nervous position as a driver to be in, was in that middle of the storm, because there's nowhere to go. Just hang on and hope everybody around you's on your toes. Is here before long, he's going to have to start pushing that 9.
Yep, and that's exactly it. They're in that tough position because you don't want to make any mistakes. See a little bobbles there again. They got to keep those temps in check. But you see everybody's getting so squirrely now because, again, they're pushing for all of these guys pushing for all they're worth. And then behind them, again, we still have that lucky dog battle going on. Right now, I think it's between Seth and Robert. Oh, we got trouble in the back. Does he save it? No, we got multiple cars around here. Caution probably going to come out. Right now, we still stay green. We'll see if anything comes out, but right now, unfortunately, saw a couple involved in that one. So we'll see. But right now, the leader's staying green. You see the 51 with damage. You see the 77 with damage. We'll go back up front. And with all that's gone on, look at the 88 now. He's dropped back here. He's lost his teammate. I think that's because of Everett probably getting too hot there in that car. But now here we go. Look at Ray Rittenauer. Big move to the top here. Can't quite get Kevin with him, though. So now they're going to stay split up here in that middle and outside lanes. But we'll see. Like I said, now Gabe can try to push the 87. And Ray was our winner last week, so he's trying to get all the points he can get. But like I said, we still got to watch these other guys. Ryan Decker kind of pinned to the middle here. And there you go. He's actually going to go back to the middle lane there with the 03. So we'll see. We got 2 to go here. They got to go one more lap before we get that white. And then at that point, it's a race to the finish.
Yeah, I'm shocked to not to see that 54 hop up there with them guys. Normally, he's one of the first ones to hop up there. So interesting story as we see right here. He hops on up there, and outside line, somebody there may have caught the outside wall, seen a little bit of smoke, but the 55 and the 9 can definitely control in those 2 lanes right there, keeping everybody in check.
Yeah, right now Dean and Charles doing all they can, like I said, for TW to try to control inside and middle lane, but there's not a lot they can do for the outside lane. They just got to try to push as hard as they can. They're getting a little tight here. We'll see if they get to the white or if it's going to throw a caution before. And I think the white flag flew. I think at this point, this is the run to the finish. And it's basically now just who's left. And right now it's going to be Gabe Butler over Charles Johnson. You see Gabe here. He's taking the top. Now you got to do some strategy because you don't have any help around you. So these guys are kind of almost have the Talladega Nights drag race here. We'll watch the 9, we'll watch the 88 and see who's got what here. As right now as they come through the backstretch, looking behind them, not enough momentum further back here. It's going to be who can get that run out of 4, and we'll see if they start to side draft each other here to try to get that win.
Yeah, Charles not in the playoffs. He definitely wants to get this win. He does not want to give Gabe an extra 5 bonus points on his teammates that just came in some contact. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a love tap. Ooh, what a finish.
I think it's going to go to Charles there by, I think, thousandths of a second. Ray Rittenauer is going to recover to bring it home in 3rd. Josh Heibaugh 4th there, and you see how damaged his car was. And then Ryan Decker in 5th. But it was right at the absolute edge of it, throwing the white flag or the caution. But just unfortunately happened right before, and it just wasn't quite there. But so we'll go back. We'll see how this all unfolded. And again, I mean, like I said, you can see right here that there's contact between the 411 and the 24. But again, I mean, these guys are just, they're going to be fighting for every inch they can. You see the 24 comes down a little bit, maybe the 411 comes up, but then this is where the cars they get stuck together. Part of it's just the iRacing, the way the net code works. And then that bounces the 411 into Eric Laurie with maybe a little bit of net code there too. There's Dean Wilkinson, unfortunately, getting a piece as well. And then at that point, this is where we talked about, I mean, now it's one of those who's left. You see the 88, you see the 9 they get through. Ryan Decker almost gets through. Then he got caught in the corner, but then able to try to keep that car pointed straight, get going as quick as he could. But you see Ray Rittenauer there. You see Josh Heibaugh. Josh had a huge save in that 101. But then, unfortunately, you see the 55 and the 071 there sliding through the grass. Just, yeah, unfortunately, a wild finish there to the end. And then, yeah, then there's the battle, like I said, the battle to try to get the best of the rest. And Ray was able to get through with the most momentum. and so that's able to get him that podium spot. But man, what a just a wild one tonight with a couple incidents that almost brought out yellows. Either just again everybody stayed pointing in the right direction. Incident coming out right as the white flag came out. Again, that's one of those. It's so close. If it's all up to iRacing on those. Oh man, that's a crazy one tonight.
Yeah, and Charles Johnson is everybody around him is thankful. Jack, Ryan, especially Ryan and those guys for him winning and beating Gabe. That's an extra 5 points they just took off the plate. So that would have been like losing another 5 positions after what had just happened. And for somebody like Ryan, Gabe gets second, he gets fifth. So instead of it being an 8-point bounce or jump, it's only going to be a 3. So not how you want to see your night end, but definitely exciting racing, and I love it.
Yeah, no, that was a wild one here tonight. So let's go. Before we chat with drivers, let's go ahead and pull up our final results. So we've seen that that's broken before when we try to do it in the wrong order, and it is going to be Charles Johnson over Gabe Butler by 4 thousandths of a second there. I mean, we saw how close it was there at the end. Like mentioned, then who could get there to the end first, and that was Ray Rittenauer there for third. Joshua Heibaugh, Ryan Decker able to also get through as well to get those top fives. Jim Brooks, we saw he was caught up in that earlier incident that didn't bring out the yellow, and he's still able to grab a 6th place because of everything that happened on that final lap to Dean Wilkinson, Kevin Hash, Everett Lane, Tom Dixon, unfortunately, and then Nick Wing able to be the first car one down in 11th, unfortunately, just not the recovery he was hoping for with everything that went on. And you see Frank Ranger there in 12th, Jack Walls, Eric Laurie. Unfortunately, you see him, it puts him all the way back down to 14th. That's a heartbreaker for Eric. That's a lot of spots lost at the very, very end. And then Robert Amaral, Dale Rapp, Seth Groover are lead lap finishers. And then the last couple cars, unfortunately, multiple laps down, including Bud Steele, Patrick Groover, Anthony Lane, and then looks like an early retirement there for Gary Huffines in that 19 as we watch these guys kind of do that battle to the start-finish line. So, yeah, wild one here tonight, Brandon. But with those, we still got to chat with some drivers, and I think you've already got somebody loaded up to have a chat with us here.
Yeah, let's go ahead and grab our third place finisher, the 87, Ray Rittenauer, and
let's pull Ray on in over here. And Ray, you're one of the ones that was able to get through there at the very end, and that's one of those races and those finishes where it's like, it's right at the absolute edge of if iRacing is going to throw a caution or not, because obviously once the white flag comes out at that point, it is what it is, and you just got to race back. I mean, behind the wheel, I mean, of course, you were going through the trial at that point. At Talladega, that's a caution. At Daytona, like I said, just where the trial is. I mean, did you have a feel like, okay, yeah, we're gonna rack them up and do it again, or were you kind of like, I got to stay in this because I just don't know?
I saw the white displayed on the screen, so I pretty much stayed in it until I saw the yellow, but I never saw it, so I closed my eyes and luckily made it through.
yeah, it was definitely a handful, I would assume. We've seen a lot of chaotic moments on pit road. How was it from a driver's perspective, coming down here under green, and how hard is it to execute?
Kevin and I pretty much hit our pit road marks perfectly. We just got slow. We slowed the tires a little bit, but it wasn't too bad getting in. Yeah. I was worried about getting out because we kept burning the right front of the car off, and it was pushing real bad. So I took rights both stops.
And that was what I was going to ask, is the tire strategy too. I mean, so we saw, like you mentioned, a lot of lockups getting into pit road. Obviously, we know these cars are really tough to get woed down compared to some of the other vehicles in iRacing. And so were those lockups part of the reason to have to take those right side tires? Like if you lock the right front, it's like, hey, I got to take the rights, because if I don't, like you said, it's really tight on exit. You might give up a little bit of time for those right side tires over fuel, but is it one of those ones where it was worth it just to gain the pit exit time at that point?
Yeah, because it was burning the right front off during the race. And okay. I figured I better take 2 so I didn't have any problems getting off pit road, but it didn't seem like it was too bad either way.
I feel like, yeah, it definitely seemed like strategy and during when to make those pit stops was definitely the name of the game tonight. Like I said, I feel like you and Kevin did a really good job of kind of strategizing it, going a little further than saving the extra fuel. I mean, obviously, didn't get that green run to the end. Had it gone green, I mean, did you like where you guys were? Obviously, you had the one extra lap of fuel. We could tell you were definitely saving. I mean, what was the green flag strategy there? Had it gone, were you going to basically just try to take the bare minimum and see if it maybe lets you break away from the field, or what was your guys' process on that one?
I think we needed like a gallon and a half. So it would have been almost too hard to save.
Yeah, no, it
But
sounds like.
I was trying a little bit, but I don't think it would have worked.
There's always going to be someone that's going to try to pull a fuel strategy at some point, with the way these things are. But Ray, I mean, get the win last week. You get the third here tonight. So I think after tonight, as I had the points up, it puts you up to a 7 point lead now from the 5. So gaining just a little bit more. Again, I know you're gonna just kind of have to take it week by week, but I'm sure it still feels pretty good to have to kind of just stretch that lead that little bit extra after the second one.
Yeah, that's 2 weeks in a row I've missed the wreck and got lucky, so I will take it.
Well, we'll say hopefully the luck will continue for you these final 2 races, Ray. But before we let you go, definitely want to give you the floor. Any thanks and shouts for that podium tonight, sir.
Got to thank my teammate Kevin, you guys for putting on a broadcast, and my sponsor Lucky Dogs.
Great job tonight, Ray. Look forward to seeing you on track again soon, sir.
All right, thanks.
All right, Brennan, that was the 87 of Ray Rittenauer. Now we got to jump one spot forward, and that's going to be this guy here as we watch the chaos coming through the tri-oval, just able to sneak by just you and Charles Johnson. So, Gabe, I jokingly said you kind of had the Talladega Nights finish there, where it's just you and Charles lined up side by side, and just the two of you pretty much there at the end. But what I noticed was you got ahead, but then you said, you know what, you go ahead, go on down low. I'm going to take the middle top side. I mean, was that just trying to prevent him from getting the big draft off of you? Or, I mean, because that's obviously you got to make that split second decision. So take us through the strategy on that one.
Well, I was trying to get him ahead of me, but I was really concentrating on Charles. I wasn't really paying too much attention on who was behind me, so I think he might have been doing the same thing. I was trying to back up basically and come back at him and dive down and get a run out of 4. But we just ended up staying side by side, and he caught me there at the end with a good side draft. So, I mean, good job on Charles' part.
Yeah, I want to back up just a little bit further on that final restart. It just didn't look like a Gabe Butler restart. Were you maybe a little nervous that they might tear him up in front of you, or it looked like you were going backwards instead of forward?
No, I thought there was a problem with my throttle, but what happened was I broke 2 springs on my paddle upshifter. That's what happened. I couldn't get it in 4th.
Now, I was almost wondering too if it almost had that misshift look to it. So, and so we obviously there's always mechanical failures in racing, hardware failures for our side on the sim racing side of things. So, I mean, maybe I'll say for all we know, maybe a blessing in disguise, because like I said, it kind of lets you fall back a little bit. You got Everett, and then a couple times we saw you work that outside line with a huge head of steam. And it was looking really good, and honestly, I think being on the outside line when you were, it kind of got you away from everything that happened down in that middle bottom. So one of those ones where maybe a little bit of bad luck turned into good luck there at the end, as I say, as we look at the Guinness and the Cloverleaf and everything too.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, it was obviously a wild one tonight. A lot of strategy. We saw you guys pitted a little earlier than some of the other guys, I think, to maybe kind of force their hand. And I feel like the pit stops were definitely the name of the game tonight. A lot of pit road miscues, and it looked like also just these cars don't want to whoa up very well compared to the trucks. So we saw a lot of lockups there. I mean, was that something that you were having to fight to tonight?
Well, that was at the forefront of our mind. That's why we decided to pit early on the first pit stop. We kind of wanted to undercut a little bit, but also we didn't want to pit with a bunch of cars because we knew this car was really difficult to get slowed down. Especially here at Daytona, and we kind of continued that thought process throughout the race with the other pit stops. Tires were a big issue. The right front was like just getting cooked off this car. And we felt that if we could kind of calculate out the fuel to where we could take rights on if there was going to be a last green flag pit stop, we wouldn't, we were going to take like 5-1 right sides where there wouldn't be any delay, where you don't get that second can. But unfortunately, caution came out. So, or fortunately, however you want to look at it. But it worked out for me in the end. I mean, I think if it had to stay green, I think me and Everett, and I think we had one of the Groover brothers up there with us. I think we might have got that if it had to stay green on the top side. We were getting a massive run out of 4. So, but anyway, I think Everett and Tom got together at the end there, and it was just me and Charles. And like I said, Charles did a hell of a job side drafting me back there at the end.
Yeah, it was a really fun fight between you guys, and yeah, like you said, that outside lane was definitely. We saw you make a big push. You had to resettle, regroup, then make the second charge, and like I said, it definitely looked like if it had gone green without any contact to the end, yeah, I think it would have been a really fun fight between you, the 55, and the 9 there at the end for those 3 lanes. It was a really fun battle watching you guys, and then yeah, like I said, just then, like I said, the head-to-head strategy at that point too, where it's like you gotta be on your game on all these things. So it was really kind of cool to also see then that quick switch over, like okay, there's no drafting, there's no pushing. I just got to figure out a way to kind of time, like I said, time the side draft or make the right move at the right time. So it was really impressive. I know there's a lot of drivers that are probably very happy that Charles was able to hold you off to steal those 5 extra points away from you for the win. Because obviously we're getting to the final half of those 2, but again, just a great run tonight, Gabe. It was a lot of fun watching you work your way through and like I said, making those big moves to the 3rd lane at the end. So definitely, as always, want to give you the floor. Any thanks and shout outs for that runner up tonight, sir.
Yeah, big thanks to Eric and Everett tonight. I thought we did a really good job on our pit stops. We came out together and got the car wound down enough we didn't get any penalties, and I thought Eric might have had a chance there. At one point near the end of the race, he was on that second lane on the outside, but unfortunately it didn't work out. But of course, Area 51, all the admins and all the drivers tonight, and everybody watching. Of course, you guys up in the booth, fellas, really appreciate it. Green White Checker TV, Gael and Brandon, appreciate you guys.
Great job tonight, Gabe. Look forward to seeing you in a couple nights' time over on the Truck Series. But great job tonight, man. Go enjoy this one.
Thanks, fellas.
All right, Brandon, we got one guy left to chat with. That is going to be our race winner in that number 9. Charles, I'm guessing this is kind of a bittersweet one because I'm guessing goal number 1 was to try to help Dean get a win, try to help him on the point side of things, or at least kind of put it between the 2 of you. Obviously, then just the timing of the caution, or not, sorry, timing of that incident right at the white flag. Was it going to bring a caution out? Was it not? And then you and Gabe are the 2 that come through unscathed. And we talked to Gabe trying to figure out the strategy of kind of who is going to make the move and him get behind you, get the run from you. Did you have to do the same thing where it's like, okay, I got to make sure I don't get in front of Gabe? Like, how do you kind of play that chess match where, then it's just between the 2 of you to try to outduel each other there for a win?
Well, to be honest with you, I thought about just getting behind Gabe and pushing him onto a win. And then I thought, no, I'm racing the GOAT here. So I'm going to see what I can do and race him. And I think Gabe wouldn't want it any other way anyway. So turned out that it was a good race to the finish. And I just tried to, when I seen that he was side drafting me out of turn 4 there, I just said, okay, if he gets halfway, I'm going to ease up and side draft his left rear a little bit and see if I can get a run downhill. So I was kind of up off the line on corner exit and then raced downhill after I side drafted him and was able to beat him. I don't know, what was it, 0.02 of a second or something. It wasn't much, but yeah, anytime you can beat the GOAT, that's a good night.
Yeah, and it's definitely good to come up here and get a win. But I can't tell you how many other drivers are probably happy with you too. Because Gabe running for the championship, that would have been an extra 5 bonus points for him. But I want to ask you with the chaotic pit stops, how was your approach to that tonight?
Yeah, we know that these cars are hard to get slowed down coming to the pit, so we kind of talked about that as well. And sometimes we wanted to wait a lap or two, maybe after the boot knockers had pitted, but if we were kind of monitoring our speed there to make sure that we were still probably running faster than them as a group and try to get a little bit ahead of them when we pitted and came out. So that was our plan, but we also didn't want to pit with the whole pack, so we were still pitting a little earlier than the rest of the pack was as well. So it worked out pretty good. That last pit stop, I think Dean and I came out way ahead of the pack. So it took them like, I don't know, maybe 3, 4, 5 laps before they finally caught us.
Yeah, no, I think that strategy was spot on, Charles, because there were a couple big pit road groups that did not go to plan, we'll just say. And a lot of drivers also just got in too hot and they had to basically bail back out on track and go that extra lap. So yeah, there was a lot happening on pit road tonight. It was definitely, I mean, we talked about a week in, week out. I mean, these races come down to just having to execute and not make any mistakes. And like I said, I mean, we always joke lately about Dean's pit road entries, and I say you were right on top of it too. So you're making him show that he's like, yeah, I can send it just as crazy as you do and make it work. So yeah, it was, like I said, it was a really good strategy. I think that was definitely the way to go from where I was sitting here as well. And then yeah, as for going after Gabe and beating him, Gabe, as modest as he is, he's gonna want to win heads up. He's not gonna want someone to let him go at the end like that. So I say, while he might miss those 5 bonus points, I say he'd rather finish second like that than getting a win with you pushing up to the end. So I definitely applaud you for that, because like I said, it's rare to have a chance to beat Gabe, especially heads up like that at the end. So I think that's one of those little extra things you can kind of hang on your hat to be able to beat him like that.
Yeah, and our plan tonight was just to help Dean and get Dean as many points as we could, and then once he got caught up in that last wreck, and I guess it was coming into turn 3, maybe, or maybe it was on the back stretch. But anyways, once he got caught up in that, it was just me and Gabe, and I thought about it for a second. I got behind him, and I was like, yeah, he would probably rather me just race him out. So I went low. He stayed high, which I think was what his plan was anyway, was to let me get in front of him and then side draft me. So, but it turned out pretty good. And I'll say this: there's nobody in iRacing I have more respect for and want to race as clean as I can is Gabe. He's one of the best out there doing it for sure.
Yeah, and I think pretty much all of us share that sentiment too. And that's the thing is, then yeah, like I said, to be able to beat him like that with just good hard racing there, like I said, with working the side drafts and everything. Now it was really a good fight between you two. Like I was joking with just it was almost like the Talladega Nights finish where it's just the two of you side by side to the end there. But yeah, a great job, Charles. Like I said, and like I said, I say beating him, it helps Dean because that's 5 less points for Gabe, keeps him tighter in the battle. So again, you never know. There's still two more to go on that one, but like I said, obviously you still want to get wins for yourself, so and you're able to get that done. So before we let you go and enjoy that, definitely got to give you the floor here for any thanks and shout outs for that win tonight.
Yeah, I just wanted to say congratulations to Gabe for second place, and um, my teammates. Thank you guys for working together tonight and getting us the best finish we could. Even though a couple of them got caught up in the accident, I think we had a good plan going all the way up to that. We were pretty well controlling the lower and the middle line, so I don't know how it would have turned out with Gabe up on the high side, but it was going to be a really good race to the end. Appreciate all the viewers coming out and watching us. Appreciate everything you guys do, Brandon and Gail, on the broadcast side. And I'll just say for you fans out there watching, we got some exciting things for season 2. Stay tuned. Got some really good things coming for season 2 as well. I appreciate all you guys do.
Great job tonight, Charles. Yeah, definitely looking forward to being able to make formal announcements there as well. Like I said, yeah, we definitely have some great stuff in store, so definitely excited for that myself as well. So, but yeah, great job tonight, Charles. Go enjoy that win. Look forward to seeing you on track again soon here, sir.
Yep, you guys have a good night.
All right, Brandon, that is our race winner in that number 9 of Charles Johnson. Like I said, he does. It's one of those things, again, if you're not in the playoffs, you don't want to affect the outcome sometimes, but at the same time, sometimes doing that is going to be the biggest help that some of the other drivers are going to want to have. So, but man, just crazy one time. A couple incidents there that maybe did or didn't bring out the yellows. Then the admin stepped in. Then we saw that second one that they kept green because everybody stayed pointing straight. And then, of course, then that one right at the start finish line, you just, again, that one's so close, whether or not iRacing was going to throw it or not, just happened just a little bit too late. But then we still got to see just a great fight between these two, the 9 and the 88, to grab the win here tonight.
Yeah, great racing, and I want to give a shout out to the admins that build these setups. You know, Gabe was very informative on the tire and how much it gave it away, and this here how much that played a factor on top of it. And I just don't think they get enough credit in how hard it is to build these setups and make a competitive setup and something everybody can drive. And you not only when you're testing them for everybody else. And it's really difficult, man. So I just want to tell them thank you, because without them, you know, this wouldn't be able for any of these drivers. So, man, what a heck of a setup they brought, and it makes a great race. And I'm ready for Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta's going to be a lot of fun there too, and that's where we will be here in 1 week's time. But like I said, we got a couple more races to go. Tuesday night, we got Auto Club Speedway with the IndyCars season finale there. Championship's already decided, so these guys just all want to finish the series out with a high note, get the win. So that'll be a lot of fun to see, especially a lot of fun at that track. And then Thursday night, we'll be back here at Daytona for race number 2. So, Brandon, as always, sir, it is a pleasure to do these with you. And again, everybody that watches and supports us here on YouTube, on Green White Checker TV, thank you for being a part of it. As always, feel free to chime in if you see somebody you want to watch, see a paint scheme or a driver you want me to pay attention to. I am more than glad to do that. So hope you all have a wonderful evening. And until next time, as always, take care, stay safe, have a good night.